Hello, brothers and sisters. This is Brother Lewis reviewing problems 1, 2, and 3 of the financial statement analysis chapter. I get a lot of questions on this one, so I will go over problem 1, then I'll go over 2, and then 3. So let's start off with 1, FSA 1-1, company analysis. Now, this one is asking you to do a couple different things related to effectively the return on assets, right? It's going to walk you through this process. And I'm going to do this in the student view so that we can check our work, see if there's any problems, because sometimes even I make mistakes. I transpose numbers, I get things confused in my head, I misread the problem. There's lots of potential problems with solving a problem. And so I'm going to go ahead and walk through this in the student view so that you can see how this comes together. Now, usually when I do this, I also have Excel off to the side so that I can do the calculations. I don't usually use the calculator because I don't always know what I've keyed in, or sometimes I do and I make mistakes. So at least I can see in Excel what I have done and I can go back and correct, right? So I'm going to show you how I do that. We're going to go ahead and pull this over to the side. And we'll bring it, let's see, we'll bring up Excel, but I probably should just go ahead and open up a new copy. So let's do that. Let's see. It should be coming up sometime soon. Okay, there we go. Here's Excel. Okay, so we got our two Excel things. Now, the nice thing about these problems is that oftentimes you can go into the references or the ebook. It takes you directly to where some of the definitions are and other aspects of this. But I'll let you do that. I may demonstrate it later on in another one. So what I usually do is I first copy, and so Control C or right click. If I can do it. Nope, we can't do it here. And then I just go ahead and paste it into Excel so that I can just work with the numbers as they are. Now, this doesn't always work. Sometimes I have to rekey things, but generally speaking, at least have a start. Okay, so now it's asking, what is the total amount of assets invested in Apple in the current year? Right? So assets, I'll write this down here. Assets equals liabilities plus equity, right? So sometimes if you don't have one, you usually have two of the components and you can infer or calculate the other. So in this case, we're going to do assets. So assets equals in the current year, essentially the 365, 725, right? That's this number. Liabilities plus equity equals assets. So we are able to solve for these two different variables with just one. All right, so now if I go down here and I put in 365, 725, right? And I check my work. And voila, that one's right. Okay, so that's just this first part. What is Apple's return on assets for the current year? All right, now the return on assets, we'll just do this ROA. That's going to be equals, you're going to take the current and prior year, right? So I'm going to take the current plus the prior year, and I'm going to divide it by 2, right? Now that is going to be the average assets for the current year. I'll just kind of lock that off. Okay. And I'm going to divide that. No, I'm going to divide income. Sorry, net income. Let's go right here. Net income divided by average assets. That's going to be your return on average assets. All right. So I've got net income, which is 59,531, divided by the average of these two numbers here. Okay. So this should be, as a percentage, 16.1%. Now, sometimes in these things, it may ask you for a percent, or they may ask you to round it to the nearest decimal point, right? Round your percentage answer to 1 decimal place. Okay, so we should just be able to put in here 16, oops, return to the question. That's a little thing that comes up every once in a while. Okay, so 16.1%. Okay, now I'm not going to check my answer on this yet. I'm going to come back because I only have three options to do that, or 3 tries. I'll come back here at the end and verify the rest of these. And how much are total expenses for Apple for the current year? Now, expenses are effectively, let's look at this, revenue, or let's do this, net income equals revenue minus expenses. Okay, so we know what the net income is in this case. Let's see, we'll just write this out, 59,531 equals, do we have revenue? Yeah, and this is current year, right? Yep, current year, 265,595 minus, and we don't know what expenses are, so we'll just call it expenses. All right, so now if we solve for expenses, I'm going to move expenses over here, everything else around, because I don't want to do the -1 at the end. So I'm going to do expenses equals 265,595 minus 59,531. Okay, so now if I just do that math right here, 265,595 minus 59,531, I should have a number of 206,064. Okay, I'm not going to check yet. We'll come back. So then here it says, is Apple's current year return on assets better or worse than the competitor's average of 10%? So a number bigger than 10% is going to be better. A number less than 10% is going to be worse. And they're at 16%. So that means that they are better. Better. And so now that I've got everything in, I'm going to check my work. And I'm going to see that I got that one right. I got that one right. I got that one right. And I got that one right. Okay. So I'll pause here. I'll load this up, and then we'll come back to number 2.